Hello there, Dragonfire here, and I am coming at you with the finale of my Battle of the Bands series. I started off with, the first round or qualifying round was kind of my quarterfinals, and that's where I picked um, one band from each letter of the alphabet, or one musical act from each letter of the alphabet to represent that letter of the alphabet, according to what I thought was the very best to start with that letter of the alphabet. And I started with, A, and then went to B and C and D and so on and so forth, and went for the entire English alphabet, all 26 letters. And then uh, from there, started ranking them against each other in my Battle of the Band series, which became my semifinals. So the qualifying round was the quarterfinals, which that was just naming each group that I thought was the very best for that letter of the alphabet. And then, that was the quarterfinals. And the semifinals was Battle of the Bands. And I pitted them against each other 5 at a time until I got to the last 6 letters, which I did 6 at a time, because there are 26 letters in the alphabet, not 25. So I did 6 at the end there. But now I've taken my winner from each of those categories and pitted them against each other. So grouping number 1 was A, B, C, D, and E. Grouping number 2 was F, G, H, I, J. Grouping number 3 was can I count here? J, K, L, M, N, O. Then after that, I had P, Q, R, S, T. And then I finally finished off the alphabet with U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So there were 6 in that final one there. Okay, I'm hoping that you've already watched those other videos. You saw everything leading up to this, because this is the grand finale. So if you need to go back and watch any of those other videos and see my pickings for any letter of the alphabet or grouping of letter of the alphabet, now is the time to pause this video, stop it, and come back to it later before you get any spoilers. Okay, there were 5 different groupings of letters of the alphabet. Here we go. I picked for this category. Now, coming in at 5th place, I've been thinking about this hard. Some of these are really close, but I've been thinking about this hard, and what do I prefer to listen to, and this and that and the other. And sorry to fans from M and the other letters surrounding it. I did with that grouping of letters of the alphabet, I did pick the representative for the letter M, which was Motley Crue, and they got 1st place in that grouping of letters of the alphabet. Now Motley Crue gets my 5th place. Hey, I mean, come on, this is basically top 5, right? I've gone through this entire series. I've named many great musical acts. So, nothing wrong with getting 5th place here. This is a greatest hits collection called A Decade of Decadence from 81 to 91, showcasing some of Motley Crue's best work. It's basically a greatest hits collection. It's got Live Wire, Piece of Your Action, Shout at the Devil, Looks That Kill, Home Sweet Home, Smokin' in the Boys' Room, Girls, 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 Wild Side, Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart, Teaser, Rock and Roll Junkie, Primal Scream, Angela, and Anarchy in the UK. So, pretty cool stuff here. Motley Crue, believe me, making it this high, not an insult at all. I'm going with Motley Crue for my number 5, so they make my top 5, but just barely miss out on the top 4. So missing out on the Mount Rushmore for this grouping. but still a great, great band with many great hits and very enjoyable to listen to. Now, for my next pick, kicking off my Mount Rushmore, my top 4. This is probably going to make some fans of like 80s hair metal, glam metal, hard rock, heavy metal, very 80s centric. Probably going to make a few people mad, but I got to be honest with my honest opinion, and that is because number 4, I picked Poison. Yeah, I know. Some people are going to be upset that I put Poison higher than Motley Crue. I'm just being honest about my musical taste and what I enjoy, and I think I've listened to more Poison and just like them better overall right now. That for me they rank higher than Motley Crue. I know some people are going to be mad at that, but all right. This is Look What the Cat Dragged In, their 1986 debut. I do think that their best 2 albums are Open Up and Say Ah, as well as Flesh and Blood. I think this is their 3rd best album, Look What the Cat Dragged In, but still good to look at here. So I just want to highlight a different one because I already highlighted both Open Up and Say Ah and Flesh and Blood. So I thought, well, let's look at Look What the Cat Dragged In, their debut from '86, because that would be an interesting thing to look at that we haven't talked about on this channel yet. Okay, so here we got Cry Tough, I Want Action, I Won't Forget You, Play Dirty, Look What the Cat Dragged In. So the title track for this is track number 5 on here. Talk Dirty to Me, I Want Some, Need Some, Blame It On You, Number 1 Bad Boy, Let Me Go to the Show is song number 10, so that finishes out the album. This is the special edition, so it does have 3 bonus tracks of I Want Action kind of remix and I Won't Forget You remix are both on here, plus the demo for Don't Mess Around with Jim. So pretty cool. I believe Don't Mess Around with Jim is a cover song that from a 70s band that they were just trying out, what if we covered this song, and so they do a little demo here, that an early demo from the band that is included on the special edition, like, I don't know, this was like a 10 or 20 year anniversary edition of Look What the Cat Dragged In. So anyway, pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I do enjoy the band Poison. They get my number 4 for this finale, so they kick off my Mount Rushmore. Okay, alright, now, if you've been following here and you know who the other winners are, I'm about to give my first medalist here, my bronze medal in this finale. Who's the bronze medal going to? 3rd place is Ugly Kid Joe. This is their original EP that came out the year before their first full-length debut album, their first full-length album. But when this EP came out, it was, at least at the time, I don't know if it still is, but the best-selling EP of all time. If you're not familiar with the term EP, it stands for Extended Play. But basically what that means is about a half of a regular album. Like, extended play in that it is longer than a single, or when you get those singles releases, they only have like 1-2 songs on them, whatever. This is an extended play, so it's longer than a single, but it's only about half the length of what's considered to be a full-length album. So As Ugly as They Want to Be was the best-selling EP of all time at that point. It was the first EP to ever reach, I believe it's 50,000 in sales. So yeah, Ugly Kid Joe made quite a splash when they first released, and this created a lot of anticipation for for their full-length album, their debut full-length album, which would end up being America's Least Wanted. But this EP here, considered the best-selling EP of all time, at least at the time, unless something has passed it since. But the first one to ever reach 50,000 in sales was best-selling. So this has Madman, which would later be released on their full-length album. Also got a song called Whiplash Liquor, Too Bad, Everything About You, another song that would also be re-released on their debut album. Sweet Leaf and Funky Fresh Country Club are both kind of mixed together. They're put together on the album of kind of a medley, both songs together. And then you notice the track listing here only lists 5 tracks, but actually there was one bonus track not listed on here. If you put it in the CD player, it does come up as track number 6, and the track is called Heavy Metal, and a pretty cool song. Just a little, I think less than 30 seconds long song that just plays through and just shreds on the guitar. Pretty cool little song called Heavy Metal, not to be confused with Sammy Hagar's song by the same name. It may have the same name, but they are 2 different songs for sure. But anyway, Ugly Kid Joe gets my bronze medal. And now we're getting it down to my top 2. And, when I first started this channel, I didn't have a plan in mind to do this series. The idea came to me shortly after I started the channel. And I talked, and then I didn't know after I finished my Music by Letters of the Alphabet that I was going to do Face Off. That idea came to me towards the end when I was finishing up my Letters of the Alphabet series. So I started doing the Battle of the Bands, and then I figured, well, if I'm going to do, groupings of 5, these 5 and these 5 and these 5, I might as well just have a grand finale. But if you've been watching my channel, you notice that I've said all along that my 2 favorite bands of all time are the Beatles and Guns N' Roses, Guns N' Roses and the Beatles, and I've talked about it back and forth. And I know that's an odd pairing because I love so many bands that could be considered in the glam genre, or glam metal, hair bands, whatever you want to call them, in that genre, and stuff that's kind of slightly adjacent to that. So I know that the Beatles is a really odd pick because they're nowhere near that genre. They're almost a complete genre unto themselves because you get so much variety in all the Beatles music. They just do so many different things, and I just can't talk about enough about how much I love the Beatles. I've already done several episodes on Guns N' Roses on this channel, but I plan on doing episodes on the Beatles in the future, and it's kind of I don't even know where to begin because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to the Beatles. I've talked about them a little bit when I did my Music by Letters of the Alphabet series, where of course I picked the Beatles for B, and I picked Guns N' Roses as my winners, my first place, my gold medalist for the letter G. These both were gold medalists for each of their letters of the alphabet. Then you had the series of the Battle of the Bands, and the first one up was A through E, which of course the Beatles fell into that, so the Beatles won that category. And next up was F, how does it go again? F, G, H, I, and J. So Guns N' Roses, representing the letter G, won that category. So these 2 won my first 2 battles of the bands. And first grouping of 5 letters, the Beatles. Second grouping of 5 letters, Guns N' Roses. And it's oh man, I've always said these are my 2 favorite bands. But now Now in this grand finale, I'm forced to pick one. I've got to give one my silver medal and one my gold medal. And, yeah, silver medal, second place, gold medal, first place, and it's all. Which one am I going to pick? Am I going to pick Guns N' Roses? Am I going to pick the Beatles? Who's going to be number one? Who's going to be number two? Who's going to be number one? Who's going to be number two? It's so close. And man, I was just going back and forth on it, and I was like, who do I pick? Who do I pick? And with a number of these, what it ultimately came down to is I've been thinking about, okay, I've loved both of these bands for as long as I've known them, since I was introduced to them. But which one have I been listening to more lately? Which one have I been in the mood to listen to lately? And it just strikes me when it comes on. So, with that being said, here we go. I'm going to reveal my silver medal. Second place, silver medal, is going to the Beatles. Okay, absolutely no insult here. I love the Beatles. The Beatles with this one here. Okay, this is was a U.S. exclusive release back in the 60s when these albums were first coming out. For a period of time, particularly in the earliest years, they were releasing albums in the UK and in America separately. Their home country of England, in America separately. They were taking some of the releases that they'd already released in England and remixing them and changing them up a little bit and releasing what they just thought would appeal to American audiences only. This here, in my opinion, might be the best of the U.S. exclusive releases, where this was not, Magical Mystery Tour was not an album that was released in their home country of England, but only here in the United States of America. Magical Mystery Tour has got the songs. Of course, the title track, Magical Mystery Tour, is the first one on, followed by Fool on a Hill, then Flying, then Blue Jay Way, Your Mother Should Know, I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love. And I think this was probably one of the last ones to be exclusively for the US only, when they were splitting up what they released in the US versus what they released in England. I think after this, like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band would be released in both the US and England, and so with the White Album and Let It Be. So all of those later releases were released in both the United States and the UK at the same time. The final one, I think Let It Be was the final one, being released in 1970. But I own all 13 of the UK releases. I think only in England and the UK. I think Yellow Submarine was only released as soundtrack to the movie, with only the background music that plays in the cartoon movie being released, and it was called the soundtrack for Yellow Submarine. Those songs, along with some additional songs, were released as a full album here in the United States. I think that's the way it happened. I could be wrong about that, so if I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. But I think Yellow Submarine might have been another U.S. exclusive. But other than that, it may have been changed drastically for the U.S. release versus the UK release. But other than that, I think, this was one of the last of the American exclusive releases before they started releasing, other albums identically in the US and the UK, because the Beatles were just so over that they were just putting together their best material, and thought that it would appeal to both audiences. But yeah, this, I mean, believe me, it's not an insult to be called somebody's second favorite band of all time. And hey, I mean, this is the best selling musical artist of all time. So they, if they're your favorite, hey, don't get mad at me. Everybody loves the Beatles. So, I mean, yeah, this is a pretty cool release, pretty fun. Magical Mystery Tour. Okay. All right. Now, for my gold medal, my number one, it's gonna be Guns N' Roses. Yeah. I've already talked so much about Appetite for Destruction, what a great album that was. Of course, it's my favorite Guns N' Roses album. So, I talked about it when I did a couple of videos just about Guns N' Roses on this channel, and then I did my best musical acts for each letter of the alphabet, of course, and Guns N' Roses won for the letter G. And then, when they won for the letter G, I talked some more about Appetite for Destruction. Then when I did my groupings by letters of the alphabet, and I did those letters 6 through 10 of the alphabet, which included the letter G, is my second grouping of letters of the alphabet, and I talked about Use Your Illusion 1 in that video, so I want to grab Use Your Illusion 2, because those are the three best Guns N' Roses albums. I don't think anyone would disagree with me that Appetite for Destruction, Use Your Illusion 1, and Use Your Illusion 2 are the three best from the band. So, you got Civil War, 14 Years, Yesterdays, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Get in the Ring, Shotgun Blues, Breakdown, Pretty Tied Up, Locomotive, So Fine, Estranged, You Could Be Mine, Don't Cry, and My World. This is an alternate version of Don't Cry, the original version on Use Your Illusion 1, but both versions are really good. The one that, You Could Be Mine, what a fantastic music video. They got Arnold Schwarzenegger and clips from Terminator 2, one of the greatest movies of all time. And You Could Be Mine, what a fantastic song. Just a high adrenaline rush. Might be my favorite song on this album, but this whole album is a really interesting listen to from beginning to end. I know some people don't like the song My World, but I don't know. There's something about it when you listen to the album all the way through. It's, I think, a kind of cool way to end it. It does work for me on some level. So, yeah. Civil War was another big hit on this album. So it's just, it's the only one that I might say is I think Estranged is a little bit overrated. You see, I think that the only reason that song is as popular as it was because of the music video. Yeah, I think that's a little bit overrated. I'm not saying it's a horrible song. I actually like the live version better when you listen to the GNR Live album. I think I like the live version better than the studio recorded, which I normally like studio recordings better. For most music that I listen to, but I think with Estranged I like the live version better. But it's a pretty cool music video, even if I think the song is a bit overrated, but still really good stuff. Pretty cool. And I've just listened to Guns N' Roses so much that I just couldn't deny them getting my top spot. I've been really in the mood to listen to Guns N' Roses lately, and just love me some Guns N' Roses. So, yeah, I just gave them my gold medal, and I guess for right now, I'm going to go ahead and say Guns N' Roses is my favorite band of all time. So, quick recap. You got Motley Crue coming in at number 5, which is no insult considering the quality of these bands. You got Poison kicking off my Mount Rushmore, getting my 4th place. You got Ugly Kid Joe getting my bronze medal for 3rd place. Silver medal goes to the Beatles, 2nd place. And my gold medal goes to Guns N' Roses, 1st place. So, hey, alright, that is my listing. This is finish up a long series that I started a long time ago on this channel. And I hope that you've been introduced to some bands that maybe you didn't know about before. Maybe you give some new stuff a listen. And keep listening to music. Now that I finished this series, I don't know where I'm going to go next as far as music goes. Might take a break from doing music as a theme on my channel for a little while, but I'm sure I'll come back to doing some music and talk about more stuff, because there's definitely more stuff I can talk about when it comes to my favorite music. So, alright, God bless everybody. Dragonfire out.